Do you want the honest answer?
Yeah.
Underwhelming.
I am so excited to catch up with today's guest, a midfielder that's been the heart of the Euro-winning Lionesses, Manchester City, and Bayern Munich, who have just completed a domestic double in Germany. She's also my very good friend and one of my favorite people to have on the show. It's Georgia Stanway. Georgia, welcome back.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
You're like a recurring guest. I'm so excited to see you again.
I know. When does my payment come?
I will look into that for you, Georgia.
I'm joking. No, I'm joking. It's cool to have you.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for being here. We know that you and the Lionesses are getting ready for the Euros, which we're going to talk all about, including how you work to recover from injury in time to be on the squad. But first, I want to talk about the inaugural World Sevens tournament. Last time you were on the show, you talked about how much you love your Bayern Munich teammates. And it feels like after this tournament, so does the whole world. You were still bouncing back from injury, but you were there supporting Bayern as they captured all of our hearts with their incredibly fun celebrations and shenanigans at the tournament. They also won the whole tournament. Bayern won this inaugural World Sevens. I've been so fascinated by the whole thing. What was the environment there like for you and your teammates?
It was cool actually. It was weird at the start because we turned up and we're in the same hotel as other teams, and straight away you're like, it's the opposition, eyeing up your competition. It felt like a little bit like a youth tournament at first, when you go and you're in the same hotel as other people and it's like the dining rooms are next to each other.
Yeah.
And then you walk in and you're like, okay, good morning. But no, it was actually really cool. It was nice to mix with the other teams. It was nice to just make friends as such. We had the little opening ceremony where we got to meet people. We got to meet the organisers, the ambassadors, everyone behind it. Yeah, some of your mates. So that was really cool. And then, the tournament started. And I think Tuva, one of my teammates, she just started it off. She's been at Bayern for 2 years and she's not scored. And then she scored in that tournament and then took the top off. So then it just went on from there.
Was that when she gave the ref the yellow card back? Was that one?
Yeah. So the ref gave her a yellow card, and then we were arguing it because we were like, "This is what the tournament wants." So then they decided to take the yellow card back,
my gosh.
which was funny. And then from there, everything just continued. As in, we were making walkout dances, celebrations. Everything kind of just got a little bit out of control.
It looked like so much fun. I actually really enjoyed watching it. It kind of felt like a vacation tournament. It was just so sick. And the prize pool was famously $5 million. The winning team walked away with more money than even the Champions League winners. And we're seeing obviously more and more money being invested into women's sports. Some people are saying that global revenue is going to surpass $2 billion. And World Sevens is placing a lot of value on the actual product, which is the players, and incentivizing them to participate and to have fun and obviously to really try to win the prize pool. Can you tell us how the prize money got broken up among your team, and is anybody doing anything crazy with their share?
I think that's the most important thing, is that the money just goes straight into the women's team. So this could potentially be our budget for the next year, until there's another sevens tournament, and then maybe we can go again. But I think it's so good because it allows us to be able to get things that are necessary for us and necessary for the women's team, and it puts a little bit less pressure on the whole of the club. It's almost like we've created this money and now it's ours to spend based on what we want as a team, which is pretty special. So I think 1 million goes to the players and staff. So we'll divide that between all of the staff. That was something that was really important to us going into the tournament, is that we made sure that, especially the staff that maybe aren't the most paid but work really hard, that this was our opportunity to maybe give them a bonus. I know that there was a guy doing my rehab, and I wanted to make sure that he was at the tournament, just in case that we got something at the end of it. And he got something at the end of it, and I think he'll buy a car. So that was something to me that was quite special, because he'd been getting lifts with the physio and finding lifts off other people. And I was like, you've worked so hard in my rehab, I want you to come along, and then hopefully at the end of it we've got something to celebrate. And that's a little meaningful story, which I like.
That's so cool. I'm so glad that you shared that with us. I think it's such a personal story, and so important for the audience who enjoyed World Sevens to hear, some of the good that came out of the tournament.
It's a lot of money, you don't realize.
I know. It's a lot. I mean, I realized, I was like, damn, that is a lot of money. That's so sick.
That could be
it's
people's
so awesome.
yearly salary. So
totally.
Maybe that's a house deposit, or it's just making people's lives a lot easier and we had fun while doing it.
I know you. Oh my gosh, I was like jealous. It looked like it was so fun. I also want to congratulate you on Bayern's success in the Frauen Bundesliga. I know that you were injured this spring, but the team did win their third consecutive league title and the Pokal Cup, which is the main domestic tournament in Germany, like the FA Cup in England. And we talk a lot with players who play in England and France about the football culture there. What's the German football experience been like for you?
I've really loved it. Obviously, you can see how together we are as a team, and I think that's the most important thing is that everybody's kind of moved to Bayern, and we're all here for the same reason and the same thing. So it's like as much as yeah, of course, the football is super important and how we play on the pitch and the tactics and playing style, but that only comes if you've got everything right off the pitch. And I think we're such a together team. There's about 15 nationalities. Yeah, you say you're going for dinner and yeah, you plan dinner for 4 people and 24 people turn up, and it's not many teams that you would actually get that. Where you can walk in a room and you feel comfortable at sitting every single table. So yeah, I think it's that which is like the German culture for me is like you can walk into the building and you say good morning to everybody. Everybody asks you how you are instead of saying, "You all right? You okay?" It's actually "Oh, how are you today?" And you actually answer and have like a meaningful conversation. But yeah, in terms of on pitch, we've smashed it this season. I'm super proud of the girls. Obviously, we lost the Pokal last year, so we had some making up to do this year. And then obviously to win 3 trophies in a row is a good sign. But we just lost our manager. He's gone over to the US at
Hmm.
Angel City. So I'm excited to see like the next manager come in and what more we can like kind of create.
I know, a big opportunity for transition. But like you said, the team seems like you have great chemistry and a
Yeah.
really strong culture within the group. This was your third season at Bayern, but unfortunately, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, you suffered a knee injury in training in January. Not only was this in the middle of your competitive Bundesliga season, but this was just 6 months out from the Euros. And I'm curious if you can take us back to January when this happened and you found out you'd need surgery. What went through your mind?
Yeah, it was very, very random. I had pain from just a knee on knee contact around like September, October time. And then everything like it was fine, like I continued training, whatever. Went on holiday, surfed for 2 weeks, didn't feel anything. Started pre-season again. And yeah, I just turned and then I just felt a pain in the side of my knee that wasn't super nice. Came in, got some treatment, still didn't really feel like how it felt. And then I was like, oh, can I go for a scan just to check what's going on, see what needs to be treated? And then turns out that, yeah, both my bicep tendon and my LCL had come off the bone on the outside. So yeah, there wasn't really any other option than to go for surgery. So I had the surgery, got a screw put in, and then basically that's when the process starts. Within 24 hours, I was back in the gym. Um, yeah, just trying to make every moment count.
Did anybody that you worked with at the time medically suggest that it was possible for you to be back for the Euros?
It was always like a talking point. It that was like my main focus. Because the injury is not like an ACL and it's not like a super long time out. But I just needed to make sure that everything was as smooth as possible to give myself the best chance. And if it was smooth, it allowed me to have played minutes before going into the Euros. Because obviously I wouldn't have played since December.
Yeah.
From when our season stopped, and then obviously I can't play. I can't do 6 months without ever playing, and then turn up to a Euros and expect to play. So yeah, I think for me it was more like I just had to work every single day as much as possible because I didn't know how I was going to be at the end. Like I didn't know what my level was going to be at. I didn't know if I was at the speed, at the level of the game. So it was just a matter of doing everything I can and then hope for the best when I got to England camp last week.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also like when you're going through a long rehab like that, but you have this end timeline, every day matters because you, exactly like you said, you don't know
Yeah,
what it's going to be at the end. You don't know if you're going
yeah,
to be ready to play by one day, one training, one week. So every
yeah,
single day and decision that you make throughout your rehab matters so much. And I remember texting you when I heard you got hurt to just send you like some well wishes and say, I
yeah.
hope you're okay. And the way you texted me back, I literally was like, "Oh, she's coming back. Like she's gonna make the Euros." I felt like you. I forget exactly what you said, but it was something
Yeah.
like, "I'll be back. No worries. Thanks." And I was just like, "Oh, like she's got it." And I'm curious if you felt almost single-minded about it, if you were just like, I am operating as if I'm making the Euro squad and that's how I'm getting through this rehab.
Yeah, literally. I thought I would be a bad patient. I thought I would be, yeah, I thought I'd be impossible to work with. Sometimes I can be, yeah, a little bit sharp, a little bit short, and just a little bit like, I don't want to do this today. Whereas every day of my rehab, I just dug deep because I knew that at the end of the day, I wanted to leave everything out there. So I, like, as soon as it got to the camp last week, it was, okay, if I'm not at the level, then I know that I've done everything in my capability to get to this point. And if my body hasn't let me, then my body hasn't let me. Yeah, one of the biggest compliments I got last week was it's obvious that you worked hard in your rehab. And I think that's, yeah, I think this season itself is probably one of my proudest because of the adversity. This is my first ever injury. So I've gone 10 years in professional football. This will be my first injury, the first time I'm out, my first surgery. I'm going to give myself some credit and say I handled it like a champ. I know that my teammates will vouch for me as well, and yeah, I know that my actual most emotional phase, probably the first time I cried, was just before I was about to play against Portugal at Wembley.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, I do want to hear more about that because I think specifically, and you've posted about this, going through a long rehab process is so emotionally draining. Of course, I mean, you quoted it as emotionally, mentally, and physically battering.
Yep.
I know you always had the Euros on your mind, which is such great motivation. I think rehab can also be really isolating. Before you got to, that moment against Portugal at Wembley, your comeback moment, were there any moments that you doubted it, or were there any setbacks that made you have like a real dip in your emotions?
To be honest, that it was very smooth in terms of like my body, the healing process, like how I reacted to things. Like that reacted really well, but it was like game days were really difficult. Like when you're watching, or like at the start, it was fine because I'm on crutches. I've
Yeah.
got a brace on my leg. Like I physically can't do it. Whereas as like I got further and further in my rehab, that become the hardest thing to deal with because I felt like I was ready to take the next step, or last week at the national team, I felt like I was ready to take the next step even further. But as much as you're ready, there's still so much risk that they're like pulling you back. So I think that's actually the hardest phase. As much as like you've passed everything, like the biggest wins are the little things that you do in rehab. And then you're always seeking for the next thing. Like that's what football is, isn't it? So like you play against Portugal and then I'm like, all right, that's done now. Like what's next? Like you're always waiting for the next thing. Like I don't know, you're never satisfied when you're in this environment because there's always something else around the corner that can be bigger.
Totally. That makes perfect sense, and it also makes sense that you'd be making these like milestones in training and in your rehab, and then wanting to take that next step of playing in a game, of making a roster, of playing in a tournament. Who was there for you in your life throughout this process? I saw your post on Instagram when you came back, thanking kind of the support around you, your
Yeah.
family, friends. Who are some of those people, and in what ways did they help you through it?
Yeah, so one of the most influential person was my rehab coach. He's called Moritz. He was at Bayern with me, and we pretty much did it where he wanted to see me like every day 1-to-1, which for me was massive. So he would make sure that if there was any other injured girls, he would do them first, and like I would come in at a different time. So yeah, his days could have been 8-10 hours because he wanted to make sure that every session that we did together was 1-to-1. He was just on the ball with everything. Every morning there was a plan, a piece of paper of what the day looked like, the intensities. Thursdays were the isokinetic chair. Wednesday was the blood flow day. Like it was just like it was easy for me to get rhythms with him and to like find patterns, and you get so much joy when you have got them routines because you feel productive. He was definitely one of the most influential people. When the Euro squad came out, he literally phoned me within 30 seconds, said that he was
Oh,
sat refreshing Instagram to make sure that my name was on that list. So yeah, it was one of them where like I've achieved this, but I couldn't have done it without him, and it's like both of our achievements are this summer.
oh my gosh, Georgia, that's like the most heartwarming story. And I do need to pause for just 1 second because you mentioned the blood flow, which is like, if people listening don't know, that's like the
Yeah.
BFR restriction cuff, right? And basically, this thing goes around your quad and like restricts blood flow to the area that's injured, so that, I don't really know the
So
science.
it can get like the
Basically,
help basically.
yeah, like it just like makes it harder for it. So then it like grows muscle quicker, all this stuff. But how hard is that and how
Oh,
bad
it's
does it hurt?
crazy. It's crazy. You do everything body weight, but like you feel like your legs are gonna fall off.
Oh my God. I remember I had to do it so much for my knee and I would have it on, my whole leg would be red and I would just be like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, okay,
And you
okay.
had to do, was you doing like lunges or like split
Yeah.
squat?
Lunges, single leg squats,
Oh,
the
it's the
the
worst.
the leg extension machine to
Yeah.
just get like your
We had like
BMO.
these like hydro pants where they were like pants that you put on and then you like pulled the straps. So it was like, yeah, it was next
It's
level. But they
it's
definitely help.
so much, but it's like
Yeah.
one of those things where you're like, I wish this felt good because then I
Yeah,
would want to
true.
do it all the time.
True.
So, Georgia, you go through all of this grueling, demanding stuff, but clearly you have an amazing support system with you. 161 days after your injury, you made your return in the Nations League game at Wembley Stadium with the Lionesses. You won 6-0 over Portugal. What did that moment feel like, knowing how hard you worked to get there, to be back and to step on that field for the first time?
Do you want the honest answer?
Yeah.
Underwhelming.
Because maybe you felt so prepared.
I think it's because like I knew at one point that I was going to play, and you sit the whole game watching the clock and you're like, okay, is it my time to get ready yet? Is it my time to go and warm up? Like, is it actually going to happen? Yeah, I think it's not necessarily all underwhelming within the moment, but it's more like there's so much behind the scenes that go into you stepping on that pitch that it's then like the stresses of the whole day. And then it probably wasn't until the day after where I was like, okay, I've done it. Like I can relax now. The first one's
Ah,
out of the way. And it's kind of like the moment where you can focus on the next thing. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, I feel like I can relate to that. Like,
And then you're
you
like, okay, I've done it now. Like
yeah. I think
like that was it.
you also build it up in your head as if it's going to be this like immediate emotional breakthrough, but
Yeah.
your wall is still up. You're still like, all
Yeah.
right, I'm playing in a game. Like this isn't about my knee specifically. Like
Yeah.
we're here to win this game. I'm here to do a job. And it's
Yeah.
not really until you take a step back and you absorb everything you've gone through that you have that kind of emotional.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. And I think it's because, especially in the weeks before, like I'd watched the Sevens tournament of how fun that was. Like I'd watched
Mm,
us win the league, I'd watched us win the cup. Like I'd watched all these exciting games, the Champions League final, like everything like this. And then it was like, I just want to feel that. Like I want there to
yeah.
be a trophy at the end of this game.
I love that. I love that drive and that competitiveness to like have the games matter. And I mean, those games are coming up with the Euros, which is about to be my next question. But before we get to it, I want to know if this journey and this comeback was maybe worthy of a new tattoo. If people haven't listened to my interviews with Georgia before, don't follow Georgia on Instagram. Georgia is a tattoo artist. We're going to post some pictures. So if you're not watching this on YouTube, head over there to see.
Pick some good ones.
Georgia, your line game is really strong. Like you're
It's
getting
got good, eh?
so good. I can't wait to get my tattoo. How is that going? And are you going to get a tattoo to like commemorate this comeback journey?
Do you know what? It's going really well. That was something that I focused on in my rehab. Like I could come home, do like all the machines that I had, and then I had some time to tattoo, and that kind of, I feel like that's what made me better and better because I could just focus on that. I couldn't focus on like the rehab. I was just like in the zone. My leg was in a brace for a very long time. It was about 6 weeks, so it allowed me to tattoo the left leg. So that's got some tattoos during the process, which have obviously got a story. So I actually
Wow.
tattooed my own left leg. Yeah, while I had the brace on, which was pretty cool.
Oh my gosh. Wait, is there any like specific one you can share with us and what it means?
I've got a quote on the top of my leg that says, "How foolish to forget how rare all of this is."
Oh my God. I love that quote.
Yeah,
I have like a little artist drawn sign downstairs that says that quote on it. And it's just
yeah,
like a picture of a girl like eating fruit like
yeah.
outside. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I
Because
literally
that
love
was
that,
something that
Georgia.
was like super meaningful, where I was like, no, like I can celebrate the little things of stepping without the crutches or yeah, having a
Yeah.
shower by myself. The little things that you don't think about.
I know having a shower by yourself is something that people don't think about a lot. That is crazy. Wow. Okay.
But I
I'm
am open to
obsessed.
suggestions if there is any ideas for my scar.
People send them in. We'll have some. I'm sure we'll get some comments on this YouTube show.
Yeah,
So I love that idea, Georgia. Well, I'm really happy for you. The tattoo
thank you.
journey sounds, just as amazing as the comeback journey. a few days after your Nations League games with the Lionesses, you were officially named to the England roster for the Euros. You're preparing for that tournament right now. How has your rehab process and timeline affected your preparation? So, like, what kind of individual work have you had to do because you're in a different phase than the rest of your teammates?
Yeah, so after we completed the Nations League, I came back into camp. So I'm with like the physios, the S&C, yeah, the technical coaches. So I've just continued my process basically. Just need more touches on the ball, making sure that I'm getting exactly what I need. Yeah, it's different being in this environment than it is when you're at home. So it's kind of like it's killed my time off. But I know that I'll be able to get that back at the end of the Euros. So I've kind of just continued because I'm still like building phase, like maintenance phase. Yeah, need to keep on top of everything, then go into the Euros, and then I'll get my deserved time at the end.
Oh my gosh, that's going to be like the vacation of a lifetime.
Yeah, it's going to be the best.
So speaking of the Lionesses roster for the Euros, some legends of the team, Mary Earps, Fran Kirby, and Millie Bright, announced that they would not be playing in the Euros, all for slightly different reasons. But everyone is obviously wondering what the mood is like inside the locker room. Is there anything that you can tell us about the vibes of the Lionesses as we head into this tournament?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Everybody's good. Everybody's having a good time together. Of course, we're a little bit disappointed with the result against Spain, but I think that's normal. They're obviously a really good side, so it just shows to us that we need to be on the top of our game. Yeah, we've got things to work on before we get to the Euros. But no, everybody's in a good place, to be honest. It was like a nice time in the camp. So like we were in Spain for a few days, like it was a nice time. And then it's also nice that there is a bit of a break now. So people can go on holiday, get their time away from their football, and then when we come back on, like everyone's excited to see each other again.
Yeah, that it's going to be so much fun. The Lionesses famously brought football home in 2022. You won the Euros in stunning fashion. The tournament was in England. It was just like one of those moments that I think changed women's soccer in England forever. And there's always a pressure to repeat a win or defend a title. I had felt that with the U.S. women's national team. I'm sure England feels it, especially now. With so many people watching and talking about this team, do you feel that pressure? And how are you and your teammates kind of trying to tune that out and just focus on each other?
I think a lot's changed. So like even from the last Euros, like teams have got better, things have changed. There's also been a lot of change in our team. We've lost and we've changed a lot of players from the last Euros. Yeah, it's one of them where the target is automatically on your back. Just because we hosted the last one and we won the last one. But I think the right team won because that's how women's football grew so much, like especially across Europe. So yeah, at that time, I think the best team won. We grew the game. But I think in terms of the one coming up, we just have to go in exactly how we went in the last one, where you take each game as it comes. We just work hard. We try and do the right things on the pitch, score some goals, have fun doing it, try and stay in our bubble. Yeah, sounds cliche, but the little things where you just focus on each one as it comes.
Totally. I think that makes so much sense. And it sounds like you have been through this before. Like, I think I hear in your voice the experience and the understanding of what's to come. There's going to be ups and downs throughout the tournament. How are you embracing more of a leadership role with this team now?
I think it kind of just happens, doesn't it? Like you don't think it's going to happen, and then yeah, 1 minute I'm 26 and I've been to a few major tournaments already, and it's like nothing changes for us. Like the same with Kira, like Kira as much as me, and it's like you just fall into it, and you don't necessarily have to lead by like telling people what to do or shouting or whatever, but you just lead by how you want to be on the pitch. Like Kira's obviously leads on the ball, I lead on the ball, and also with like aggression and trying to throw my tackles around or trying to make catalyst moments. And I think those leadership qualities are also as much as the ones that are good at talking and the ones that know the right things to say. But yeah, it kind of just happens without thinking about it.
Yeah, I feel like every tournament is an opportunity for that like younger crop of players to kind of emerge as the new leaders of the team. And especially as we see turnover in a roster like yours, your age players are all going to move into those, like we're the leaders of this team and move into those positions. But I think what's so interesting about this tournament specifically is that a younger group of players is going to move into that place you're leaving behind, the rookie, the young player. I'm curious if there are any newer players to this squad who we just maybe on a global scale haven't recognized yet as like the next big star for England? Who do you think we'll know after the Euros from your team?
Very good question. I don't know if you saw, but we've got a young girl called Michelle. She's in the team, and obviously, I don't know if you saw the goal that she scored on her debut. But that was a very, very crazy goal. And
Yeah.
I think she brings something completely different to the team because she's like so good at like holding the ball up. She's powerful. She's fast. Obviously, she can create goals from like nothing, and it just gives us another dynamic.
Yeah, Georgia, you're talking about Michelle Azumang, who, in case people don't know, is a really exciting young player who I'm super excited to watch in this tournament. But England aren't the only team shaking up their squad. So is France, another potential competitor for this title. It feels like as we gear up for the 2027 Women's World Cup, we may see more familiar names leave international rosters. This our generation of players, this kind of age group has accomplished so much, and I think really catapulted women's soccer to a whole new level. But I find it so interesting that there's kind of this torch being passed. And at Georgia, you're a player who's in the midst of all that. Like you've gotten to play with some of these legends like Jill Scott, like Mary Earps, like Fran Kirby. And you're going to get to now mold this new generation of youngsters on the Lionesses team. What do you want to do to make sure that the legacy is preserved?
Very good question. I think we always talk about leaving the shirt in a better place. So like making sure that things are set in stone that they don't have to deal with. Whether it be talking about pregnancy, whether it be talking about what it looks like for female players when they do have children. Yeah, probably just making sure that most areas are covered, that when they come in it's like a smoother process, smoother transition, things are set in stone. But I'd also say like it's understandable that people want to take the next step in their journey, or like they want to retire, or they want to just focus on club football, because you don't realize the toll that football does actually take on your lives. To do a schedule for 20, 30 years is probably something that it's hard to live by.
Totally. I mean, it's also hard to let go of. Like I'm retired and
True.
I'm still like, okay, up and at 'em. Got to work out in the morning. Got to get to work. Like it's hard to, turn that part of your brain off because it is so
Yeah.
ingrained in us. So I appreciate you saying that. By the time this episode releases, the Euros will be underway and England is facing France in their first game this Saturday. They'll also play Wales and the Netherlands in the group stage. Georgia, what can we expect from England right out of the gate? And what are you expecting from your opponents?
I've not done my analysis yet, but I think the most important thing in tournament football is you want to win the first game, because that kind of like not sets the tone, but it kind of gives you a good feeling. I think if you have a disappointing result in the first one, sometimes it's harder to come back. But I think it's also possible. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just take it as it comes. I think now is just the time that we focus on ourselves. And I think we need to continue to do that in the tournament. Like whatever the opposition brings, they bring, and we have our solutions like in and out of possession, how we're going to deal with that. But the biggest thing is we have to get our plans right.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. You have the exact right perspective going into it, and you've
That was
done this
such a
before.
media answer.
It was so good though, Georgia. Like I'm like proud that you're giving a media answer because I'm like, she knows what she's doing. Like she's such a pro.
No, I don't know what to expect from them. Like, that France are a good side. That Netherlands are a good side. Obviously, our coach was also the Netherlands coach, so maybe there's a bit more fire in. Wales are only around the corner, so they've obviously got their fire as well.
I know it's Wales' first major tournament as well, which is like pretty historic and cool for them.
Yeah, it's amazing actually.
I know it's really exciting. Okay, there is another thing. I'm wrapping up here, but I do have a couple more questions I want to ask you. There was news that came with a very official thumbs up from the chief officer of the Nighttime Industries Association, which sounds like a Harry Potter character's title. But basically, pubs in England have vowed to stay open late if England or Wales reach the semifinals. This chief officer of the Nighttime Industries Association said it was a positive and progressive move that recognizes the growing popularity of women's football and its cultural significance across the UK. This is so sick. I'm like, I want to go to England or Wales to watch these games. Name some ways, Georgia, that you have felt the growing significance of women's football across the UK.
That's an example. Pubs filling up. I remember at the Euros, they allowed alcohol to be served a little bit earlier than normal time because I think one of our kickoffs was a little bit earlier. I think it's that. I think it's like fan zones, where people just say like, "Oh, we're having a watch party." Like, come along.
Mm-hmm.
The big screens that are put up in the cities that people can just watch, like they can sit or they can walk past. I think it's those little things where everybody loves football in England. I think that's why it's so amazing, because everybody wants exactly the same thing and everyone wants to be off work to watch.
Oh, I mean, don't we all? I was so struck when I was in Manchester about a year ago at all of the murals. Like I
Yeah, it's
felt
cool.
like I saw multiple murals of the Lionesses, and I was like, these seem so like just like such a tribute to the team and to
Yeah.
the players. And I feel like all of your names are so well known by just anybody on the street. Like that 2022 Lionesses roster has really just become like part of the heartbeat of England. And I think it's so impressive the way that
Yeah.
you've been able to kind of capture that. Okay, Georgia, last question. This is a big one. With everything that you've overcome to play in this tournament, and considering all that we're talking about, all that followed that 2022 Euros victory for your team, what would it feel like for you and the team to win this again?
I mean, unreal. Yeah, it would be crazy. Like, I can't believe it's already been that long since the last one. It only feels like yesterday. But yeah, nothing will compare to that. That was like one of the best days of my life. I hope to be able to relive it. Yeah, or relive something new. I think it's hard to compare
Mm,
because of, yeah, that whole situation itself and how sentimental it was. But I think, yeah, there's nothing better than winning. I think once you've won something once and you've got that little taste, then you want to taste it again.
I know, Georgia. I also do just want to say, like, how proud I am of you for coming back from this injury and really setting your sights on something and not letting go of it. I have said this on every episode we've done together, but I do kind of feel like your big sister in a way
For
because
sure.
we played together and you were just a little bit younger than me, and watching you have so much success and watching you really come into yourself and have this moment where you fought through something really difficult and you made the most of it. I'm just really proud of you and I'm excited for you.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to me.
Good.
That
I'm
means a
glad.
lot. Thank
Okay,
you.
Georgia. Well, go get them. Good luck in the Euros.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I am so fired up for Georgia and England this tournament. Their team has already been in headlines due to some dramatic roster announcements in the build up to the Euros, but that's a really great opportunity for the team to come together and focus on what lies ahead. I will for sure be watching on Saturday as they take on another top team in France who, despite always being extremely talented, have never won a major tournament. Next week for our Euros coverage, we have France and the San Diego Waves' Delphine Cascarino coming on the pod. Make sure to follow along with TWG across all of our social media. You can even subscribe to our newsletter via the link tree in our bios. Thank you all so much for being here. Enjoy the Euros, and we'll see you soon.